Michael Carter. I'm the Director for the Office of Parent Advocacy and Engagement, and welcome to the February edition of Public School Monthly. Tonight's program is really going to be an interesting one because we're going to look at arts education in our schools. But before we begin the program tonight, remember that this is a live call-in program. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to give your comments and to ask your questions. So please pull out your pen so that you'll be able to call us at 718-522-5517. You can also email us at ps@wnycenet.edu. Okay, make sure that you call us. Now, tonight we're going to present a showcase of some incredible art programs and projects that our students are involved in the public schools. And all of that is thanks to the continued effort of the Board of Ed and our public school partners, all who are focusing on increasing and enhancing arts in our schools. And to help us through this conversation and to highlight all the things that are taking place, we really have some wonderful guests. First, I'd like to introduce Ms. Sharon Dunn. She is the Chancellor's Special Assistant for Arts Education. We have Mr. Edward Morgano. He is the Project Arts Coordinator for Brooklyn High Schools. And we have Miss Joan Beckett. She is the Project Arts Coordinator for Community School District 5. I thank each of you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really is going to be a good program. But before we begin our conversation, recently the mayor has announced in his budget plans the continued support of Project Arts. He provided money for it initially and is going to continue that support. We know that many parents around the city are familiar with the program. As a matter of fact, this year, I understand that Project Arts funding has really been able to be provided to all of the schools throughout the city. It was just 2 weeks ago that our NYE team went to Benjamin Cardozo High School and was able to catch some of the incredible work that the students are doing on tape, and as a result of the program that's there, open up all sorts of opportunities and possibilities for our students. So if we can go to the tape.
In any large school, and Cardozo has over 4,200 students, the extracurricular, and arts are not extracurricular, but I want to make my point. Anything beyond social studies and English and math and so on, all of these other programs are extremely important because they're ways of hooking kids into school and getting them involved in something that they're excited about. Not every kid is a 95 average student. It doesn't mean that they don't have something to offer and that the school shouldn't have something to offer them to get them involved. Beyond that, I think that the arts are an integral part of the academic subjects. We tend to look at subjects in isolation as if they're separate, and in history you have to memorize some dates, and math you have to solve some problems. But in reality, the arts are good preparation for that. Certainly in social studies and English, we try to integrate the arts to look at you can't look at history without examining the artwork.
This took me almost the whole semester to do, but I started doing it when I was reading Macbeth, sort of, so I kind of got the idea, and then, this is I'm sort of showing my emotions about me and myself, this is myself, and this is inside of me, trying to scream and everything, and in the background I have my brother, my father, and my mother, and then, giving that dismal look to it, this is how I actually really feels inside,
Mr. Potter's art class is just he's really been a very inspirational teacher. I can't say that I've ever had any other teacher who's taken so much of a prominent role in in my studies, and and the way that like the other students are around here really heavily influence upon like your opinion on things and what and you get to figure out for yourself what you want to do. And not everybody in the class wants to be an artist, and some people just like to pursue it, but the way that the class is set up really helps you to facilitate that.
I don't think that one can learn these things solely in one subject without that idea transgressing into other subjects. In other words, the disciplines that one learns in the arts go into their work in other studies. I don't think that one can learn these things solely in one subject without that idea transgressing into other subjects. In other words, the disciplines that one learns in the arts go into their work in other studies. It just isn't, oh, I just do it. If you have a program whose focus is upon excellence, if the focus is moving towards what the very best art colleges and universities are looking for when they review students' work, that is going to come out there.
If you take students who are involved in the arts on any level, and you compared their academic performance, you would find that their performances probably exceeds those students who aren't involved in any particular activity.
Well, we're back. Let me remind you about our telephone number. It's 522-5517. Gee, Sharon, that was some incredible footage. I mean, the work of the youngsters and the interaction of the teachers. Help our audience understand or remind them once again about Project Arts and how it began and what its purpose is.
Well, it's really, I was very inspired by that, actually. And what you saw just now is really what we are hoping to see throughout our city in all our schools, that students who have ability and talent in any art form have the capacity and the opportunity to discover it, to cultivate it, and to reach for the standard that Mr. Potter spoke about. Mm-hmm. Because we talk about arts education, and we have a lot to say about it, and we talk about connecting it to the curriculum, and it must be done in that way. But we have to always remember that we really have a very high standard in the art forms, and our students are as capable of being the best artists as they are of being the best writers, mm-hmm. the best scientists. We have enormous potential, and I know that there's nobody in this room anyway that would disagree with me. Project Arts is the word arts is in capital letters because it's an acronym for arts restoration throughout the schools. And this is an effort that began, it's actually been ongoing for some time in New York City. A concern was raised over the last 10 years or more about the fact that about 20 years ago we cut the arts from our school system in trying to deal with the tremendous budget cuts that the school system faced. But we've learned that you can't just remove a whole piece of what school is about and think that schools can function normally. And actually in the years that we did not have the arts in the schools, we didn't do so well. Mm-hmm. Our attendance wasn't great, our graduation rate wasn't as good as we would have liked. Many issues became clear. So we don't claim that putting the arts back in the schools is going to solve all the problems, mm-hmm. but we know that there are many students who need to find their pathway to success. And for those students, if it's an art form, if you have no way of discovering what you can do, and all you are asked to do is read and write, mm-hmm. then if that's not your strength, then what purpose is school for you? Yeah. So we really we've recognized under the leadership of Dr. Crew, under the leadership of Mayor Giuliani, it is really this time where the leadership really, there was confluence of understanding about why children needed this. And so with a great many advocacy efforts, you're going to hear about the Center for Arts Education in the second half, and Hollis will tell you all about that process. But that process with the Annenberg Foundation committing to challenge New York City to put arts back in the schools began a snowball effect that has brought us where today I can say that the mayor has allocated, or I don't know what the correct term is politically, but that we have $75 million set aside in the budget for next year and the year beyond.
That sounds politically correct to me.
Right, and that is to continue and further Project Art so that every school has full advantage. And this money that we got, we were first offered $25 million for 3 years, $25 million each year for 3 years. And in the first year, we invited a third of the schools across the city to apply within their districts to look at the state of the arts in their schools and then to figure out how they were going to spend, how they would use their allocation to support its development. It was such an exciting beginning. We had you're going to meet some arts coordinators tonight. These are the people who are working in the schools, in the districts, with the schools to generate the opportunity, because for 20 years you don't teach the arts. What does it look like? So we turned to the cultural community, to the museums, to the arts organizations. And we have all these many partners that have helped us do this. As a result of our first year, the mayor asked the chancellor to match his $25 million this year with the tax surplus that the board received, and we got $50 million. And now there's one more year of the 3-year cycle of Project Arts, which will bring us up to $75 million, where every school will have an opportunity to develop and keep a program that will teach the arts to its students, to all its students.
Well, maybe what we can do, as you talk about the arts coordinators, and we have two
Right,
of us now.
Please let them talk.
Ed, why don't you share with the audience what you have seen happen on the high school level as a result of Project Arts?
Well, one of the things I think that a little piece is the acronym for Project Arts is arts restorations throughout the schools. It's also rebuilding a new arts program that's very different than one that might have been in existence when I was in schools, where it was geared mainly to a craft level of teaching technique. The arts now are extended through all departments, and the arts are really alive in all interdisciplinary courses. It's not uncommon to have a creative writing class, participate in a photography class and doing a photography project, and then having the students in both the photography class and in the writing class do a joint creative writing project. Taking a social studies class and taking classical photographs from the Depression or from the Japanese internment during World War II and using those in social studies class to get a better understanding of what was going on at that time through the arts. You're studying great muralists, you're studying art history, you're studying cultures. So there really is a tremendous renovation and restoration and rebuilding of new programs. The artworks behind us here are samples from some of the schools that we have. So the work that we have here it's actually work that our students have done. That's right.
That's
work that was taken today, and many of those students are applying to professional schools. Some of them continue on in their arts education. But I think the real value is that they become better human beings, they become fuller human beings by understanding the cultural ties that tie us all together.
And Sharon made mention of the effect that it has on the student themselves and their willingness to stay in school, to refocus their energies in different ways, and you're finding that.
Yes, I think when you have a great music program, for example, and there are several schools, lots of schools throughout the city. There's a Bronx Academy of the Arts on Saturdays. It's a great workshop where there's a choral group that meets on Saturdays. There's also a parent part of that group. But when students are willing to put that time in on Saturdays or after school, or when students are willing to stay after school to perform in a play or in a performance or practice with the band, they're really learning skills and discipline how to study. And they learn that if they make a mistake with a guitar, they correct it and they play a different chord. It's not recorded as a failure. So they really learn lifelong skills, I think.
Joan, share with us some of the innovative and different kinds of programs that you've seen be developed and implemented in the schools.
Well, District 5 has always understood that the arts should be an integral part in the school system, in a student's life. And Project Arts has just been a great way for us to develop what we've already known for so long. Many of our schools have partnered with arts organizations such as the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Lincoln Center Institute, Aaron Davis Hall, to to bring the arts into the schools to help make curricular ties. For instance, PS 129, their theme this year, they're studying Harriet Tubman, her life and her works, and they're going to be working with the Harlem School of the Arts to develop that, to work to develop their literacy program in studying Harriet Tubman. PS 194 is working with the Metropolitan Museum of Art in studying ancient Egyptian art and Asian art. So District 5 is doing a wealth of things to help to develop each student's knowledge of the arts and each student's knowledge of how the arts are important in their lives.
Well, thank you. And I see that we have a phone call. Hello, caller? Caller?
Yeah.
Yes, hi, good evening. Can we have your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is April Silvera, and I am an art teacher there in District 5. However, and I'd like to give a shout-out to Miss Joan Beckett.
Hello.
Hi. I'm calling about Brandeis High School.
Okay.
My son attends Brandeis High School, and he spoke about their arts program. He's very artistic, and it doesn't appear to be a stimulating arts program. And he's particularly interested in fine arts. And I'm wondering, why haven't they developed a more enhanced program, one that encourages children to be artistic, teaching them techniques and letting them work with the various medium. He's not doing that. He hasn't been exposed to that, and this is February.
Okay, well, Sharon?
What age, what grade is your student?
He's a freshman.
He's a freshman. I don't have a quick answer, and it's a question it's a good question to ask. But what I understand is that, what I know is that it's a possibility that Brandeis is a Phase 3 Project Art School, meaning that right now they're working on planning what they're going to do when they get their allocation next year. This project was phased in over 3 years, and schools applied for the grants, and Brandeis might not have come in yet, and therefore doesn't offer the freshman art and music classes. But by next year they will. And your son will be able to start taking them by next year, because by next year we expect it to be in all our schools.
No, what I'm saying is he has an arts class now, but it's not stimulating. It doesn't seem to have the supplies. It doesn't have, it's not motivating. The room is not an art room as such. And I'm wondering why. If there isn't a room set aside for this kind of thing, and why it's not amply supplied. And if they have an art teacher, then why...
In some
program express that.
Sure. Ed?
In some of the schools, I know there's been a different thrust for the arts. Schools were able to develop in either fine arts, music, theater, or dance. Edward R. Murrow High School in Brooklyn, for instance, put in a dance studio this year. They renovated a room, and they have a dance studio where they've never had one before. William Maxwell High School developed an instrumental program and purchased musical instruments and band instruments. So it takes time to get the programs off the ground, and it could very well be that at this particular school, the school support team of parents, teachers, and staff decided that they wanted to take a stronger steps or bigger steps in some of the other areas and maybe save fine arts for next year in growth. There also was a logistical problem with release of some funds this year, and it's possible that the supplies are on their way. They have been ordered. But there was a delay in releasing some of the funds.
That's true.
All right, thank you.
And thank you for calling. And I'm sure that some of that all gets entwined with the whole issue of buildings and creating the space and upgrading the space because of the changes that Project Arts really brings. Maybe even using that as a piece. How have you seen Project Arts change schools, change the environment of a school, change the attitude of a school?
Well, Project Arts, I'm thinking about one of my schools, 133, Public School 133, where they are a Phase 2 school, and they received monies and they purchased their grand piano, and it changed the morale. It just uplifted. It just motivated everyone. It just brought a ray of light to the entire school, and and they're just so happy that they are now able to play on instruments of quality, that they now can purchase musical instruments so that they can develop their jazz band. They've always wanted a jazz band, and they now have the instruments. And so Project Arts has done an enormous amount to raise the spirits, to raise the morale, to raise the consciousness of the entire district, of the entire school system about the arts and the importance of the arts.
Okay, Sharon?
I think what Joan is saying is also very important. One of the consequences of these years of neglect is that what equipment we had really wore out. I was in James Madison High School this morning, and the ceramics teacher was showing us that she had a new kiln. And it was wonderful. She said, I was working with these machines that were so old, and she was coaxing them along. And here she had an opportunity to revitalize the equipment. So the kids are now working on quality equipment, which is a very important part of learning.
Sure.
Also, I've noticed also you have instruments when they come into a building that hasn't had an instrument in the building for the past 7 years. I was in one of the schools, Project Art schools, when they first got the instruments in, and I was walking down the hall and I heard these very strange sounds that didn't quite sound like music. And I walked into the room, and there was an incredible glow on every student's face who was able to make a sound come out of a flute or a trombone or a trumpet that they had never held before in their life. And now it's a year later, I go back there, and it's really a different environment. And you take a performance and you put it on, and you have a musical. It pulls parents into the building. It pulls art into the building, fashion, design, sewing. You get parents coming in on weekends in several of the schools who are sewing costumes and helping them design.
Sure. And as the students smile, so do the parents.
Yes.
And we have another caller. Hello, caller. Caller.
Hello.
Yes, hi, good evening. Can we have your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Eugene Porter, and I'm calling from Westfield, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I'm a New York City Board of Ed teacher. And I am the Project Arts liaison person for my school.
Ah, very good.
Well, actually, my AP is, but she never seems to be able to make the meetings. So, but I've gone to the meetings, and we have several programs in our school, which I have to say are wonderful. And I'm in District 75.
Oh, that's great.
And I teach literacy through music, and I teach a population of Psi 3 and Psi 7 students. And the difference that it has made just bringing music and art into the school system is incredible. And I'm listening to all of you speak, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm listening about all the high schools, but I don't ever hear anything about Psi 7 or Psi 3 kids, and it's amazing what they do and how they respond. Even through symbol pictures of Maya Johnson symbols, the children with autism, through music, are actually responding and interacting, where if I spoke to them, they might not respond as well. So it's such an important aspect, and the children absolutely love when you come into the room and they see you with all your equipment and all your signs and all your music, and it just really lights up everything. And I hope it continues. I really do. When I see the people from an ACT come into my school, I see the response not just in our school, but the mainstream school comes. And it's unbelievable. It really is. And I'm so glad it's back. And I had to call. I'm sitting here with my 6-year-old, and I'm trying to keep him quiet while I was waiting. I don't know when this show was on. I've seen it once or twice before. And I hope I catch it again. I had to call because I just had to give some input that was, I think, so well-deserved and needed. And I just hope we can continue.
Great. Well, I really thank you for the call, and I want you to become a regular and in watching us. I know with what you've just said really proves the value of bringing arts in and how it's able to make that special connection with youngsters, which is really what we want to be able to do. And we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How you doing?
Okay, can we have your name and where you're calling from?
Doug Banks calling from Manhattan, District 5.
Okay. Looks like 5 is in the house tonight.
Yes, I'm very strong about having arts brought back to the school. I'm a former student of a public school system, which I was playing trombone in 4th grade, reading music, and I see it very necessary that these kids have the opportunity to learn how to touch instruments and see what develops. And there's also a lot of work in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Eventually people will be, let's say, retiring from the Broadway musicals and stuff like that, and we need our kids to be able to go and witness the chance that there's a lot of opportunity becoming a musician.
Well, very good. Thank you for sharing that, and indeed, it is extremely important. Is there anything that any of you would like to add to that?
I think one of the callers mentioned about the long-lasting effects of Project Arts, and it is a big influx of money that's come in and really taken root throughout the schools, from K right through the high schools. There's a lot of renovation that's been done, a lot of old classrooms that were renovated into dark rooms, photography, colored digital photography programs, video programs, ceramic labs that are being used by students and parents after school workshops.
Okay.
And I think that will certainly remain, and bringing over 750 new licensed arts teachers, art, music, and dance teachers to the system in the past 2 years will certainly establish firm roots in the system.
Wonderful.
I think it's very important also that parents are aware of the career opportunities in New York City, and the last caller alluded to that. We have an enormous arts-related industry in New York City. We have a big industry in tourism, and tourists come to New York City to see Broadway shows, to go to the symphony, to go to the Metropolitan Museum. We have tremendous tourism revenue, and these organizations have a need for really skilled workers who are skilled in the arts, or skilled in the arts-related things like lighting, sound systems, recording industry, fashion design. Just in visual arts alone, there are 70 related careers, and there are an equal number, I'm sure, for the other art forms. So it's important for kids to get this education because it can really be a career path.
And a real exposure and stepping stone. We have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Yes, hello. My name is Mr. Alvin Morris. I'm a public school art teacher in District 16.
Okay.
And I have a question. What can we do to convince administrators like principals and supervisors of a school the importance of art when they really just concerned about reading and math and they don't really give art that much attention? What can we do to change that situation?
Okay.
Well, I think that situation will change over time, and some people, I have to say, are not always convincible. But what we have found through Project Arts is when a school has the money for Project Arts, they are expected to sit as a staff and talk about how to integrate the work of the art teacher into the work of the classroom teachers. If your principal sees that when you're teaching art, that the subject of what you work on is perhaps drawn from the literature the children are reading or the social studies work, not to diminish the teaching of art, but to teach it within a context that will relate to the other subject areas, the principal will see that it supports his literacy goals. And you, I believe, will be recognized for the ability to use visual cues to help children understand what they're learning, and how important it is for students to use the visual to learn about the written word. Many of us need to see the visual in order to understand what we're reading and what we're seeing. And so you have a very meaningful role to play if you can get a dialogue with your colleagues about how to work with them on providing subject matter that connects the arts to their work. It's a big job, I know, but I really think it's important.
Yeah. Caller, thank you. And we have one more caller that we're going to try to squeeze in on this end of it. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yes, hi, good evening. Can we have your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, Mary Gibson, Queens.
Okay.
I would like to know if you have programs to do literacy through the arts and to have some standards for arts, because in the lower grades where you see teachers just coloring with the students, and I would like to see students being exposed to great painters and literature and history, so when they go into the junior high, they have different experiences and express more their talents. But as it is right now, there is no standards, and I don't know anything about the curriculum. Could you help on that?
Okay, I see our panelists shaking their heads, and we're running out of time, so please, a couple of quick comments.
I think the standards certainly are in existence, and they're certainly being put into the schools. As far as what certain teachers are doing in certain schools, this is a matter of reintroducing the arts and the standards to the high schools and to the community schools. And also professional development workshops are being conducted on all levels for administrators, supervisors, and teachers as well. And I think you will see a change coming down the pike.
All right.
And a parent can contact the school district in that school, the district office, and ask for the arts coordinator, because the arts coordinator can show you what those standards are. And then you would, so that you'll understand that there really is a mechanism to work from, and the district arts coordinator can help you.
Well, caller, thank you. And panel, I really want to thank you for being with us this evening and sharing this important information. There has been a lot of additional support for arts education, especially coming from the Center for Arts Education. And we're going to go to a tape now to hear a little bit about that and hear what Chancellor Crew and some of our other arts partners have to say. Can we go to the tape?
School, on its very best day, ought to be an opportunity for young people to envision themselves in a life beyond where they are right now. And I think that the arts provide a bridge for that. The kids who are at risk in my system are kids who can't see themselves in a future. They can't draw a picture of the future. They are stuck in the now, and they can't figure out how to get out. There are no bridges for them. And so the arts, I think, really do represent a way of being able to give these kids powerful an exchange rate at being able to say, I'm here now, but I can see where I'm going.
I had an interest for the arts, but here's where they let me like show it. What? Raise your hands up. Like other schools, you know, they hold it back, but here's where they let me like do everything. Like I'm not stuck to one thing, you know. I draw, I write lyrics, you know, I perform, dance, everything. And also I learned like technology too. Here's where I started applying like my arts to like computers and then having websites and things like that.
The Center for Arts Education has galvanized support. It has been a catalyst for new ideas and new knowledge and a transfer really of what's possible in schools. It has really solidified and clarified what's possible in terms of the arts being both reintroduced and deepened in the overall use in the curriculum in the school system. And I guess more than anything else, it's really given people permission to dream.
Teachers have a thing. They always say, if I had a school and I could make the decisions, well, here they had an opportunity to do that. Teachers are, I don't know, natural cheerleaders for this because it really is a prayer answered.
What's more exciting than to have Arthur Mitchell or somebody from his dance company teach you to dance? Not to learn how to read, but just to learn how to dance, or to learn how to sing, or to learn how to play a musical instrument. That was all cut 25 years ago. And we have, again, not only the greatest cultural institutions, but the greatest artists in the world in this city. And it's really such a thrill to be able to see them in the classroom. And they're not just teaching the kids, but what's unique about this program is that they're teaching the teachers.
I came up in a situation where I knew absolutely zero about the performing arts, but because I was introduced to it early on through school, and someone said to me, this is an Italian aria, or this is a French melody, and this is German lieder, I was fascinated from that moment on because it was so different from everything that I'd known to that point, and I was hooked onto it.
I had a conversation with a young woman, one of the dancers, and she said to me, she says, I never would have guessed that last year when I came here as a freshman that, you know, I'd be dancing on stage, Francis, and then I actually designed a dress, and someone's wearing it. She says, you know, that gives me some ideas for college. Now, whether she becomes a professional dancer, whether she becomes a professional designer is not the issue. She really has a vision for herself in her life, you know, because she feels the power.
The center's really changed the landscape of arts education. We've been integral to that, and that was really our role, not to supplant what the Board of Education has done, but to be a catalyst. And I think in that role we've succeeded very well and are still in the process of putting all the programmatic elements in place to do that.
Gee, that was a wonderful, wonderful piece. As you can tell, we have a change in guests, and we're going to talk a little differently, but in truth, we're really going to be talking the same, because we want to hear more about the Center for Arts Education and the Annenberg Foundation grants and the kind of projects that are going on in our schools. And so I want to introduce our next round of guests. We have Mr. Hollis Hedrick. He is the Executive Director for the Center for Arts Education. We have Miss Nancy Salvo. She is the Project Arts Coordinator for Community School District 18. And we have Ms. Dita Wolf. She is the Principal of PS 7 in the Bronx. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Hollis, I'm going to go right to you and ask you to talk with the audience a little bit about the Center for Arts Education and what the tie-in is with Annenberg Foundation.
Well, the Center for Arts Education is one of a number of Annenberg projects around the country. This one focused on arts education. And as we discussed in the videotape, which the audience saw a clip of, it's really about being a catalyst and trying to be the kind of spark plug in the system, as some of our earlier panelists said, about the need to really restore arts education in the system, which had been removed over a number of years. And so the Center for Arts Education is really a public-private partnership that represents a coming together of both the Board of Education, the Teachers Union, Department of Cultural Affairs, and many private supporters as well. And in fact, the grants that go to the schools are not really from the Annenberg Foundation. It's a combination. And the Annenberg Challenge Grant is $12 million, of which the center has to raise $24 million in public and private money to match that.
So the center serves as a conduit for resources.
That's right.
Okay.
So we created a grant-making process, a request for proposals process, and we're now in our third round of that. And so far, we've funded 65 schools, and you're going to hear from one of those in a little bit. And we'll be funding another 25 this spring. And there are a number of activities that go on that support these kinds of programs as well. And again, really the purpose is to help be the convener, to provide an opportunity for the different stakeholders to come together to really help restore arts education over time in the city system.
Nancy, I'm sure that District 18 has looked to take advantage of what the Center for Arts Education has. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, we have. Our intermediate school, IS 285, has won an Annenberg grant. It began last spring. And this is our performing arts school. So they have a long-standing commitment to the arts already. So what they're doing is focusing on the second part of it, integrating the arts with the rest of the curriculum. We're trying to strike a balance between arts for art's sake and integrating the arts. They're working with 4 partners. One is Theater for a New Audience. The artists from there are coming in working with the 6th grade core teachers and students and teaching them how to integrate the language arts curriculum with theater arts. And they're doing that through a study of classic works. They did Richard III last spring. They're doing Greek tragedy Euripides, Iphigenia by Euripides. In addition to that, Theater for New Audience is also working with the school on their Learn and Serve America program. They take oral histories from seniors in the community. They can use their own family or other members of the community. Theater for New Audience is now helping them to dramatize those oral histories. So they began with a dramatic reading last spring, but now they hope to expand on that and include movement and dance and music to those oral histories. They're also working with Teaching Matters Inc., TMI, and they're putting together technology in the arts, computer arts, computer graphics, Photoshop, staff development for the teachers and the parents. They're working with Bank Street College for Education on portfolio assessment. For those who are not familiar with that term, portfolios are another way that we're looking toward to rate a student's progress and development instead of just a standardized test or essay questions or multiple choice test. And that can include, usually the arts are included in that project. And we're also working with the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Well, you really have a lot of partners in a real comprehensive program. But Dita, I know that our video crew went out and visited your school, PS7, to see the kind of projects and activities that your students are involved in. So maybe what we can do is go to the tape and come back and do some more talking. So if we can go to the tape now.
Yo Yes was a book that we've used. We're doing a friendship study with, we're helping Amy Hess write her next book. And that book represents friendship and how the more outspoken boy was calling to the very shy, timid boy. And it was a great book for dialogue because that's all it was, an expression. And their gesture was so clear and visual for the kids to see. So we thought that would be a great book to use since we've used it before and they've heard it, and we thought it would be great for them to actually read it instead of me that time. And it was actually like they were making the expressions as they were reading it, so it was nice too.
Yes, me! You!
Look at him pointing.
Well!
The purpose of viewing this piece of art is because it's an ongoing study in our classroom, looking at art and integrating it, incorporating it into writing and drama. And what we had the children do is look at the piece and just start talking about it. Whatever they think about it, whatever they want to share, whatever they notice. And anything they say is right, because that's what we want them to feel, so they feel one with the piece of art and comfortable with it. After we do that, I'll ask them questions and to get them more focused on certain things that might be going on in the painting. And then we get them together, and I have volunteers come up to actually pose, just like the people in the painting. And the great part about it is they really feel like they're part of it, and it kind of makes them understand what's going on in the painting. And it's also fun because they get to make the sound of what they think might be happening in the painting, which is really important. So they have an idea. They understand that Winslow Homer had these people posing and making these gestures, and really helps them understand, that the painting communicates something to them in a different way, not in words, but just by viewing it and acting it out.
When I first came here, if any of the teachers did artwork in their room, it was the extra things they did after they finished all of the different areas of curriculum. After the math was finished, the reading, the social studies, the science, if they had time left over, or if it was a half day and not that many children were here, or a snow day, that's when somebody might do an art activity. As the years went by, and since we've had the funds from the Annenberg Foundation, the teachers, it's become very contagious. We're going to have some sculptors using the mallets, okay, and we're going to have a piece of sculpture that we're going to see with our eyes how it changes over time. The children are involving the parents by dragging them to the museum. They're involving their parents by begging them to buy the books and showing them that they want to read them. A lot of times parents will say, why should I waste my money because it's not going to be read anyway? But these kids have been given a taste of these stories, and they're begging their parents to buy them, and the parents are coming to me saying, I can't believe, what you're doing here, because it's like it's opened a new world to them.
Thankfully, through the Annenberg Foundation grant, we've been able to develop at the College of Mount St. Vincent something called the Hudson River Arts and Design Center, which in fact is the conduit and the focus. It's the studio where all of the staff development goes on up at the college for the teachers here at PS7. It's the place where we do training both in terms of hands-on workshops and in concept development.
We try to encourage the parents to let the children do work at home, to talk about the work that they've done at home, to work with the parents. We have a series of workshops where we've encouraged that. We feel that this wonderful communication goes on when a parent and child are doing art together.
Well, gee, that was a wonderful piece, and we're going to hear from Dieter about that. But first, I want to remind you that our phone number is 522-5517. Dieter, as the tape was running and I was sitting here watching you, and I could see the smile and the pride and the enthusiasm, talk with us about what we were watching and the kind of change that has happened in your school.
I think that the excitement and the pride that you saw on my face is the same thing, is the same expression that are on most of the faces at PS7, whether they're the children or the adults, the teachers, the parents, the support staff. The Annenberg Grant has brought an energy into the school. We were always a pretty good school, but the energy created through the arts integration has really, really been something special. The kids are involved. They're doing more. Their work is something that they can take pride in. And we're an old building. Most of our building is about 100 years old. And we're an overcrowded school, so we don't have any of the special art rooms that we heard mentioned earlier in the program. And we don't have any special art teachers. What we've decided to do instead is to make every teacher a facilitator of the arts.
Okay.
So that the arts are happening in every room in a wide variety of ways. And I think that that's what has brought this energy into the building.
Gee, one of my quick follow-up questions then is, and how did you prepare all of your teachers to move into this role?
It's been a slow, gradual process. We're in year 3 of our grant, so we were able to begin small. In fact, when we were initially given the grant, it was in April 2 years ago, and we had a unique opportunity to pilot it during a summer program. Now, summer programs are wonderful because classes are usually smaller, and you have a lot of freedom to try new things. We also made an agreement among all of us, Enrico and the teachers and the group in general, just to have, if things were, to be honest, to maintain an open dialogue. We still do that. And if things didn't feel right, to express it. We also have a wonderful support system in the building, teacher to teacher, administration to teacher, staff developer to teacher, and arts partners to teachers. And I think that's at the root of the excitement and the energy.
Really sounds wonderful. Hollis, as you were talking about the center's role with Annenberg, it seems as though there are indeed lots of players involved. Tell us a little bit more about that.
That's right, Michael. The core concept is really to build on what has gone before. And during the planning process, one of the things we learned is that the cultural institutions in New York City have played a vital role in really working with the public schools. So we built on that and really designed a program where the schools and cultural organizations come together to create their grant proposal to the center. And through that process really look, as Dita described so beautifully, of a really process that changes the schools, not just to restore and put back what was perhaps missing, but to really look at how the school culture can be changed, how parents can be brought in, and almost all of the programs that the center funds with additional money we have from the Department of Cultural Affairs have a separate parent component, and that parent component really feeds in and supports the programs and helps build long-term advocacy. But it's a real wonderful balance between what the arts organizations and cultural institutions contribute to this dialogue, where they're really looking at first the needs of the school and moving from that point. And as of this point, we have over 100 colleges, universities, cultural organizations, and institutions involved with the schools all across the city. So it's a very fertile kind of environment that creates a dialogue between outside resources and the needs of schools and teachers, administrators, and parents.
How are parents involved in Project Arts and with the Annenberg grants? How are parents a part of it?
Well, in Project Arts, there is no money set aside for parent involvement. In Annenberg, there is.
Okay.
And in our Annenberg school, with the piece on technology, parents are involved in that. They can come before or after school, whatever's more convenient for them, and they're getting training in Photoshop on the computer. With the Metropolitan Museum of Art collaboration, parents are involved with that as well. That's still in the planning stages right now, but parents are involved in deciding which galleries at the museum would be most appropriate to the students of that school and of greatest interest to that school. Aside from that, in our district, the parent coordinator was having meetings and having trouble getting parents to come out. And she collaborated with me, and we spoke about the arts and how the arts pull people out. So we began last year, and it's expanding this year. She will be doing 4 programs using partners that we're using in Project Arts or the Annenberg. I will be there to give an overview of the arts, and the parents will get a taste of what the kids are getting. So,
as a matter of fact, I believe that she's even using a piece of one of our allocations.
That's right.
That our office does, the PI, Parents Involved in Education, to help expand that platform. That,
yes,
that really
and
is
we
very
worked together
interesting.
on that, and she, they really had such a tremendous turnout last year trying that out, that they're expanding that.
Okay.
Our parent piece has been slightly different. What we've done is we've offered parents for the past 2 years now, and we'll be starting again in February, a series of workshops, art appreciation and studio art, very, very similar to the kinds of workshops that the teachers attend at the College of Mount St. Vincent. The difference is that instead of having Enrico teach the course, we have Karen Rosner, our staff developer, teach the course because we feel that she's closer to the parents and has the connection with the parents and the children. In addition to that, we have, for the second year now, thanks to the center, we are inviting Laura Sims, who is a renowned storyteller, to the school, and she will be offering 6 workshops to parents that will culminate in a storytelling festival. And the thing that's so wonderful is that the parents are encouraged to tell their stories and share their stories with children, and of course we know that kind of communication is what kids really, really need. We need to share our stories with our children.
That's wonderful. We only have about a minute before we go to announcements, and we have a caller. Caller? Hello, caller?
Yes, hello. How are you this evening?
Okay, fine. Can I have your name and where you're calling from?
I'd rather not give my name, but I'm calling from Manhattan. My daughter is an elementary school student in 1st grade on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
All right. Can we have what your question is then?
Yes, I will. In our school building, which is a magnificently renovated building, we have a art teacher who does cookie-cutter designs with all grades. They come out at the end of the school year with basically the same exact art project, no matter what grade they're in. We also have a kiln in our art room that for 3 years has never been turned on. We were told it was going to be turned on 3 years ago, and every year we get a different excuse. Number 2, parents are not allowed in any way whatsoever to participate in helping the art teacher, assisting her in any way, and parents have often gone to the principal to volunteer their time in both the art room and in the library.
Please forgive me, but I think I had mentioned, because we're getting ready to move towards the end of the show, please just tell us what the question is then.
How can we get parents to become involved when a principal is absolutely forbids parents to be there? And how can we get the kiln turned on in the room?
Okay. Let me see if I might even be able to just briefly help. And because of the sake of time, you may want to call our office tomorrow, which is 935-5202. But with the kind of situation that you're speaking of, what I would suggest is that you call to your district office tomorrow and ask to speak with the parent liaison or the deputy superintendent in the district, talk about what the issue is, and I'm sure what they'll be able to do is to help guide and talk about what they've been trying to do to deal with, for example, the kiln issue, as well as the other parent concerns that you're talking about. And I think that would be a good first step, and like I said, you can always call our office.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. And now what I'd like to do is go to our announcements, and when we come back, we're going to say goodnight to our guests and to all of you.
For more information about Project Arts, contact your local school. And to find out more about the Center for Arts Education, call 212-971-3300. On February 8th, the State Regional Public Focus Group on Early Intervention and Special Education Services in New York is being held at the Hotel Pennsylvania, 401 7th Avenue, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. On February 10th at 4 p.m., the Chancellor's Expense Budget Request Hearing and the Board of Education Budget Hearing will be held at the Hall of the Board, 110 Livingston Street, Brooklyn. Schools will be closed from February 15th to the 19th for winter recess. If you have a child in the New York City Public Schools, you have a very special reason to vote in the Community School Board election on May 4th. Deadline to register is April 9th. For more information, call 718-935-3910. Poets, get your quills ready. New York City high school students are invited to submit original poems to WNYE's first annual poetry competition. Prizes include U.S. savings bonds ranging from $100 to $1,000. Top winners will read their poems on WNYE 91.5 FM. To find out more, call WNYE at 718-250-5800.
Well, gee, folks, we're almost out of here, and I just wanted to give Hollis one quick chance to say something.
Well, Michael, I just want to thank you for having me on the show, and I think it's a really important time where the city is really coming together, both through Project Arts and through the Center for the work of the Center for the Arts, Center for Arts Education, as well as the cultural institutions and the many private funders that we have that are really trying to make a difference.
Good.
And I think it's a very important time that we should all be, really trying to do the best we can to move things ahead.
Well, I certainly thank the three of you and for all the work that you're doing and how you're bringing excitement into our schools and for our children. And I want to thank our audience once again for being with us. I also want to say that tonight we have 400 students and their parents, Kids Nights on Broadway through TDF, special program for families that have never gone to Broadway before. Through Sharon Dunn's office, my office, and TDF have been able to arrange for tickets for these families to be able to go down on Broadway and see things for tonight. We're going to close off by showing a clip of the 9 high schools that have been honored by U.S. News and World Report. These are the high schools that are cooking, and guess what, folks? It's New York City. We're glad you were with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Good night, all.
Members of the board, times during the course of the year, we have an opportunity, actually in this very room, to sort of, as parents, stand up and be very proud of the children that we serve. Today, it's a great honor to do that again. On behalf of the students in the schools and the members of those school communities who bring great distinction and great honor again to the New York City Board of Education by having been named by U.S. News and World Report as among the top outstanding high schools in the country.